If you're like me, you've heard that the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League is coming to HBO Max in 2021, and you're pretty excited. But my excitement has very little to do with needing to actually see the movie. Let me explain. I think its release is symbolic of something more than just how good or bad it is, and I don't think that the Snyder cut is going to make this film magically good. I take this as what I hope is Warner Bros. DC's revelation. In the modern age of communication, you have to make direct connections with your fan base. You have to give them reasons to buy into not just your product, but your ethos. To this extent, Warner Bros. DC should have done a better job following in the footsteps of Marvel Studios. In fact, Marvel did two things extremely well that led to their success, and in doing so, it made them into the type of juggernaut that could absorb the occasionally less than wonderful movie, because we bought into their ethos, their vision. Well, that's not really what I meant, but it still works. The first thing that Marvel did, and it might have been the most important, was they dropped the postmodern backdrop. Postmodernism is dead. Gone are the days when people wanted their entire universe to revolve around dark skepticism of grand narratives. You can still have great postmodern heroes who question the notion of the grand narrative. The best example today is probably Deadpool. Not only is there no such thing as too sacred of a topic to discuss in the Deadpool movies, but it continually mocks the grand narrative of its own world, of the Marvel world, and we love it. It's hysterical. However, the heart of the MCU, the original Avengers, are not postmodern, especially Captain America. He's the postmodern buster, the man who believes in good, in right, in wrong. These are not matters of perspective to him. It's why he is so loyal and quick to defend his friend Bucky, and why in Civil War he defends the idea that authority should remain in the hands of the heroes, in the hands of good, as naive as that may come across to some. Now, think about the equivalent character to Captain America in DC, and I don't mean in terms of power. Who should have been the postmodern buster for DC? Superman. He believes in truth, justice, and the American way. All grand narratives, all big concepts that usually require a tremendous amount of philosophizing and discussion in order to even find 1 ounce of commonality among us. We argue about these ideas all the time, but we somehow find comfort in knowing that Superman tends to encapsulate the best of these ideals. And yet, what did we get from Warner Bros. DC? We got this brooding, gothic 16-year-old filled with too much complexity and too many existential questions about the nature of his existence. That's not what people want from Superman. There are other characters who fit that space and do a better job. The Question, for example, is without a doubt the most postmodern hero in the DC universe, and the animated Justice League uses his postmodern skepticism to move some of the larger plot lines in the series. And they do so effectively. Now, one of the things that people like me still love about the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and if you want to talk about different directorial cuts of movies, let's talk about how much better the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2 is than the Richard Lester. But the reason people still have a place in their hearts for those Reeve movies is that it pushed back against the raging postmodernism of the time. Here is this Boy Scout hero who wants nothing more than to believe that at the heart of every human being is the want and the ability to do good. That's an important message that needs to stay within the human race at all times. We need heroes who believe in us as much as we believe in them. Man of Steel in 2013 should have been that movie. The second thing that Marvel did extremely well was organize their press junkets in a way that made it look like everyone liked each other and got along, whether they did or didn't. This made you feel like you were a part of one of the largest and longest inside jokes in human experience. People who knew nothing about Marvel began to enjoy learning about the various storylines and personalities. And it wasn't limited to just learning about the characters. People wanted to learn more about the actors as well. They did that because Marvel Studios played to the fans. They listened to the fans and often conceded to them when it was appropriate. They knew that the main plot line of a film, personal character story arc and MCU story arc, needed to connect. But you also had to find time in the movies for fun, for the fans. Now, this brings me back to the Zack Snyder cut. To me, what makes this exciting is that it marks the end of a completely terrible Warner Bros. DC cinematic universe. What I hope will be the final stake in the heart of improper postmodernization of characters who never really fit that mold. Don't get me wrong, we still need elements of postmodernism in our culture, because skepticism of grand narratives often become the catalyst for reflection on society and what it means to be human. But we don't need that as our dominant culture anymore, and certainly not right now. In this sense, the Snyder Cut also acts as a kind of apology to the fans of DC, to the people who love the characters, love the stories, and desperately want nothing more than to give you, Warner Brothers and DC, our hard-earned money in exchange for seeing a product that accurately represents the characters that we grew up reading, watching, and loving. The Zack Snyder Cut of Justice League is a way to tell us, the fans, okay, we know we messed up and we're sorry, but if you're still with us, we're ready to listen. And I think we are. For those reasons, I'm excited that the Snyder Cut is being released. If you're ready to listen to more from me and my channel, please consider subscribing for extra content like this, and to take part in my current ranking endeavor. We're in the middle of ranking the MCU films up to and through Endgame, and I'm always interested in more comments, more subscribers, more ideas, and I'm always appreciative of your time. I'm your average Joe with Silver Linings Film and Media Reviews. Have a great day.